The gender-neutral term for sugar daddy is now glucose guardian.
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Our guest today is Timothy McLemore, an LGBTQ plus relationship champion and author of Love is Not Abuse. Timothy is on a mission to create a safe haven and dedicated support system for forgotten members of the LGBTQ plus community. We will also be talking with Timothy about his new 5013 nonprofit organization, Essential Haus, that provides a safe place for individuals in the LGBTQ plus community who have been affected by domestic violence and homelessness. My name is Tom, and I'm your host. And as always, I'm in the studio with my amazing co-host, starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And
J-Bear, a.k.a. your boyfriend's boyfriend.
And welcome everyone to the dish. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've missed you. It's been a week. We missed Trish last week.
How was it without me?
It was good.
We did. We had a lovely time. But there was a reason why you weren't with us. We talked about it a little bit last week, but you had a very busy like first 3 days of last week. You were teching Six, the musical.
Yeah. No, it was a busy week in general. I mean,
Right.
everything leading up to the season right now is busy.
It was insane. That show was amazing. Thank you so much for convincing me to go see it.
Yeah, no, it was.
So,
I mean, it's a great show. Everybody should go see it.
yeah. So
It's not the normal like Broadway format, but
right.
it's. I feel like it's more like a concert, but it's still.
It's insane.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
there's dialogue, there's music, there's singing, there's dancing, and they're incredibly talented. These women.
Yeah, I mean, I invited a lot of our higher end donors, some of which are up there in age,
Right.
and so I didn't even really think about it until the show started, and I'm like, oh, maybe they're not gonna like this,
Right.
but they all loved it.
It's incredible. The energy. So it's nonstop from beginning to end, just pure like energy, singing, dancing, moving, dialogue. It was just nonstop. And typically when you're teching a show, they just do a run through, in once they have finished and they're actually at a theater wherever they're going to land, there's usually an intermission, right?
They'll normally do a rehearsal like that, which is what you saw,
Right.
but like a dress rehearsal. But I don't know if they normally allow for invited dress rehearsals. Sometimes I think maybe, but
Right.
In this case, because it was a perfect opportunity for cultivation and just like another touch point with donors, I was like, we got to do it.
Right.
So-
No, I just think it was incredible. So thank you. That was awesome. J-Bear, how are you, darling?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Fantasticals.
Fantasticals.
Okay. How was your week?
Not bad. Actually, I ended up catching a show in Bridgeport at the Klein Memorial, which is called La Gringa,
Okay.
which is one of it's based to give you a quick rundown. It's based on a young woman born in New York City who travels to Puerto Rico for the first time to meet her family and to discover her roots. Her misconceptions are transformed, and she learns that being Puerto Rican is a matter of heart and spirit.
It
Great.
truly is.
Wow.
Great show. Really nice. My wife kind of sprung the show on me last minute.
Right.
And I was like, I was kind of dreading going. Great. I laughed a lot.
Well, I mean, think about it though. When I had the opportunity to be able to go to school in Puerto Rico for a couple of years, and
Until they kicked you out.
right, pretty
Yeah.
much.
They sent you right back.
My entire time there, they called me El Gringo.
El Gringo, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody that is from the mainland U.S. that goes there, you are automatically El Gringo. That's
Yep.
what I was known for.
Yeah.
It's either that or instead of saying Tommy, they would say Tommy.
Told me, yeah.
That irritated the fuck out of me. But I
Tommy.
spent most of the 3 years there. It's Tommy. Say it right. I used to make fun of my teacher.
Happening up top here.
Oh, I don't know. Something.
Little alfalfa going on.
Oh, God. You guys are horrible. So my English teacher, would consistently kick me out of the class because I was always correcting her.
Which is so surprising.
Not really.
Why?
knowing you and your bilingualness.
I know. My Guatemalaness.
your Puerto Ricanness.
No, because I mean, like, she would be like, children, it's time. Everybody please sit in the chair. And I'm like, maestra, me see. Chair is a seat. I mean, I'm sorry. Chair is a singer and chair is a seat. So what are you saying? I mean, do you want us to go sit on
and she
chair?
Was like, you shut the fuck up or my chancleta.
Get out. Get out. No, literally for 2 years, she gave me the key to her P.O. box. And my job during her class, during her hours, to walk downtown, go pick up her mail, pay her bills, do all that stuff, and come back in time for lunch.
Yeah.
Which I
she
never
was like,
missed.
I need to figure out how to get rid of this little...
Yep.
Pretty much.
But that was true. So we have a fun-filled, we have a packed show for you. We've got a couple of stories that we have to touch on the first half. And then, of course, we have our guest. We're going to be unpacking a lot of things on that segment because it's a very serious topic. You know, domestic violence is not fun for anyone, especially those that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. So,
should we quickly mention Pride?
Yeah. So we talked about Pride throughout most of the episode last week.
Sorry, I didn't listen.
All of the events that were happening, everything that was going on, everything that we could look forward to. The celebration in downtown New Haven, right on the green, was incredible. Right?
It was great.
Great turnout. A lot of vendors, which is very interesting because there have been other events. For example, Arts and Ideas weren't allowed to have the vendors that.
Well, they had. It was a different type of event,
right? So if you remember, Candace Dorman, she used to do the Breezy Moms podcast, which was recorded in the studio. She no longer does it, but she's been doing a lot of good things with Echo Body, which is the skincare line that she launched right at the beginning of the pandemic. And she was like, I didn't even know they were offering like spaces for booths and stuff. So she's definitely interested in going and selling her stuff. And, I love that woman. I miss her so much.
Yeah, she's great.
It was great to see her downtown. But we had a good time, and we did something very important.
We did.
What did we do, Nick?
We together
we did. We sat together. We held hands,
and we got our first monkeypox vaccination.
We did.
And then you told the nurse that there was plenty of space in on the green for you to bury my body.
Yes.
If anything, we had to sit there for like 10 minutes afterwards, and she was like, oh, well, I'm glad that you have somebody you can sit with. He's like, well, if anything goes wrong, there's plenty of space to bury his body. And she was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, there's a cemetery right behind the church here. So, we're good. You'll be fine.
This woman must have been like, what
she was like,
talk about love and abuse.
Oh, boy.
I mean, clearly it was a joke. No, but we did. We got our first monkeypox vaccine. And I made the decision to get it because I seen one of my good friends, Jorge, who is also known as Nina Flowers, one of the contestants from season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race from the very first season. And she posted her story about getting monkeypox, and the pictures were, oh my God, terrifying.
Yeah.
And not only that, we work in a bar. And I was like, you know what?
We work in a gay bar.
Right. I need to do this for myself because we know that while we're all about liberation and sexual liberty and doing all that good stuff, gay men tend to do nasty things. So,
well, all in all, like I would have to say that the reaction wasn't bad. I was a little tired the next day,
right,
and that evening. I mean, I still have a mark and some bumping or bruising.
Right. I do too.
But
it's almost, it feels like, so once the swelling goes down, it just feels like an infected mosquito bite. That's how it feels, the tenderness.
Yeah.
So.
But I felt like a fucking leper this weekend. I had this going on, my fucking finger that I had to get stitches in, like. Ugh.
But we did that.
Yeah, by the way, I was like, what the fuck? When you sent that picture. I was like, what the hell happened to her? She got attacked.
Yeah, my fucking coffee pot is homophobic. That was a fucking hate crime.
That was crazy.
Literally, I was
Oh,
just like,
Lord.
oh.
I can't. No, but and then you cut your finger. You had to get stitches.
Yep.
I mean, it was quite an eventful weekend, to say the
It was a
least.
long week, and then
Right.
Friday came around. It was literally, I got home from work. I was cleaning out my coffee pot on a Friday afternoon, and it just like, oh, fuck. I'm going to need stitches.
Yeah. No, but it happens. I mean, overall, I think, the events went well. There was a little drama in the New Haven community regarding certain things that happened at
Yes.
some point, but we're not going to discuss that here. That's not what we're here to do today. But nonetheless,
I will say one thing, though. The person causing the drama, I'm not going to slam them or anything, but the reality is the New Haven Pride Center does so much amazing work in the Connecticut community. And if there was an oversight, or if there was something that you were upset about prior to the event, which is my understanding of what had happened, address it.
right.
Don't put an organization that does such amazing work and just had an amazing week's worth of events on blast because you're unhappy about something.
Right. So,
And it wasn't like something where it's like, okay, they were denigrating in any way, or, in my opinion, hurtful or anti-inclusive.
right. Well, I think that the way it was handled
Was
handled correctly. They put a message out there. They said, anyone that has any, inclination or any issues with events that are going on, you have concerns, bring them forward. We'll have a conversation like adults. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But nonetheless, let's not let that overshadow the great work that went into preparing so many beautiful and amazing events. And overall, I just think, that the New Haven Pride Center and everyone involved, Partners Cafe, all of the donors.
Dave and Bernard were there at the same time we were there.
Why didn't we see that?
I don't know. They were like, "Oh, I didn't see you at Pride." I'm like, "I was there with Tommy."
Yeah, I was there. We were probably getting our monkeypox vaccines, and I was
Maybe.
planning your funeral while they were up
pretty
there.
much.
So, but anyway, bravo to everyone
Tom, why'd you bring a shovel?
bravo to everyone who took an opportunity to do that. It was really great.
Yeah.
Really great overall. I have to do something really quick.
Well, I guess Tom wanted to jump into a couple stories, but I've not read them because they're his.
Well, I have something we can talk about quickly.
Okay, go for it.
Just to fill in some. So
No, I just gotta fix what.
there's a lot of followers of an influencer on Facebook, Instagram, so and so. Diana Fontanez,
Yes,
huge influencer,
huge influencer. She's a very, very huge trans person. She's a
Advocate.
trans woman.
She
advocate.
transitioned from male to female when she was around 15.
Right.
And she's lived her life.
Right.
Well, I shouldn't say she. They have lived their life as mainly female, trans female, many, many years. And recently she did something where, of course, sparks controversy.
Right.
They have decided that they want to retransition, I would say.
Transition back. Yeah.
Yeah, or in Spanish, when she wrote it, she was like, I'm untransitioning
Right.
back to male. So she's, or they, I should
Her
stop saying
beautiful
she.
hair is
Yeah.
gone.
All her long hair is gone. He's, or they're dressing as male.
Right.
It's so hard to keep up with the pronouns right now.
Right,
Because
yeah,
I'm unsure how to address it.
And but first and foremost, it's not an issue. It doesn't need to be
No,
addressed.
but no. As far as pronouns,
Right.
but for me, because I'm like she, he, they. I believe they're going by they now. I need to remember that.
Right.
I mean, either or, whichever way they choose to appear, to me, looks fine either way.
Right.
But it sparks it sparks up that whole controversial idea of especially within religious groups,
Right.
talking about how they're transitioning back because they noticed it was a mistake and you can't go against God's words and da.
But that has nothing to do
Yeah,
with.
but apparently the pastor who has put that post out used to be trans themselves at one point and perform as a female.
Well,
drag
that's
artist.
an interesting point that you make is we can talk around, around the table about what this means and how we feel about it, but how does the trans community feel about it? Because I know that coming out as trans, it's, I mean, just like anything, coming out is difficult, but then also transitioning on top of that. And then having somebody, I don't want to use the term flip-flop, but pretty much flip-flop back and forth in this case. It must be hard for them to reconcile the advocacy of everything that they did to transition to female, and now transition back, and what that backlash means for that segment of our community.
I think in her case, it's unwarranted, because regardless of how anyone feels, right, whether if they were identifying as female at one point in time and now they want to identify as male, regardless of how they feel about that, it is still a personal choice.
Right, but I think the issue then comes in with the fact that they transitioned at 15, and we've had a lot of conversations on the show about hormones and transitioning at a young age, and maybe blockers are better until until individuals are of a certain age, but that's just our internal conversation. So from the perspective of the trans community, having somebody come out at 15, transition, and go through all of that, and now transition back, it can almost be presented as though it's a statement to, radicals thinking, oh, well, no, kids should not be transitioning at 15. They should not be on hormones at 15. They should not be on beta blockers. Like it almost like could potentially create a case.
Like they can use that as an example of why we shouldn't allow kids to do. But again, regardless of who's pushing that narrative, it is a personal choice.
100%.
For anyone. And so, I look at it this way. I have enjoyed her or them online with all of their videos. They're super funny and amazing. And they are great. They're a beautiful human being. They have an amazing relationship with their mother and the family and the fans and the fandom, and well supported. And in the end, they are an adult.
Yeah, I mean, they can do whatever they want. Right. I think that is important that we as a community embrace that, and I think that we as a community have and will embrace that. I just worry about that concept of that backlash.
Right.
When at the end of the day, that's not anyone's concern.
What they decide to do with their lives is none of everyone's concern. But the beautiful thing is to see all the comments, right? And everyone talking about it and saying, I support you. I still enjoy you. I see someone different, but I still see the same passion for the work that you do. And, just because this person decided to transition yet again to something that she is no longer going to be, because that's how she describes it, they are still doing the great work. Yeah. They still said, I am committed to the cause. I will advocate for anyone who wants to go through this process. Overall, I think that, it's a beautiful thing to see, to someone have the ability and the power to make that choice for themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's part of her growth or their growth. And again, we're going back to when they decided to transition, they were at a younger age.
Right.
And just like anybody else, as you age, there's certain things you want to do and certain things you want to change in your life. A lot of us don't, right? For fear of change and what people may say. And they just said, fuck it, it's me. It's what I want to do.
It takes strength.
It takes absolutely a huge amount of strength, especially for this type of change.
And they have a massive platform.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the important thing. And I think that there is something to be learned from that experience.
Absolutely.
And again, I don't believe that she felt wrong when she was presenting as she. I don't think that she felt wrong in that space. I just feel that, she has come to a point in her life. Well, now they want to be something else.
Well, and I also think, not to tangent, but I read a book recently, and there was a character in the book that was gender fluid, and some days they were Rory, and some days they were male Rory.
Right.
And that's just how they presented. And I think that we as a community, as a culture in general, need to start embracing what it means to not necessarily be trans, but more gender fluid. And really, if you wake up one day and you identify a certain way or you feel a certain way, I mean, I think that's okay, and I actually think it's kind of beautiful.
Right.
I mean, when we were talking about Native American cultures and third genders or two-spirited genders,
Right.
They didn't identify as male or female. They identified as what was it? Two spirits or
Two spirits.
Yeah, I believe it was two spirits.
Yeah, and that gave them the fluidity and flexibility to really honor who they are.
Right. In their whole selves, right?
Right.
And in all of their spirituality, they were able to do that. And I think that, and that's the beauty of being able to grow older and grow. As you grow older, you gain what we would say is wisdom, right?
Life experience,
wisdom. What one would hope that we get smarter, but you also get to a point where you embrace evolution, right? The ability to be able to evolve. That is a human gift. That is an ability that allows us to learn from our past experiences, to move forward, maybe not repeat those, or maybe, build on those experiences. But the beauty of evolution, right? The ability to have that. And in her case, or in their case, it's the ability to be able to have the resources too, right? Because this particular individual has made a lot of money online as an influencer and doing her skits and videos. I enjoy them. I watch her all the time. One of her favorite lines, "Esto no es de Dios."
That's true.
And most of her videos are in Spanish. And that's another thing. The Latino community embraced her in such a way while she was presenting as, Diana Fontanez.
Fontanez, yeah.
Fontanez. And, now hopefully they can continue to do that. It's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yep.
So speaking of that.
And a quick thank you to Jack for bringing this up so that we can bring it up in today's topic.
Yes, Queen. Jack?
Yes. Jack.
Okay.
Jack.
So on the heels of that, very quickly, I just wanted to mention that Montana, the state of Montana, will now allow changes to gender on birth certificates after a specific ruling that initially said that they couldn't. I really would love to expand more other than Montana will comply with a court order requiring it to enforce a process that makes it easier for residents to change their sex designations on their birth certificates. The state's health department said on Monday, abandoning a recent effort to impose stricter rules in the record-changing process. And again, for people who are deciding, things like this make it a lot easier for us to be able to straddle that transition period. And bravo to them. It's all about having power over your own future, and it's just a beautiful thing. So that being said, we are going to take a break. We have an amazing guest coming on the other side of this break. So we'll leave you, but we will be right back. All right, ladies and gents, we are back from our break. Thank you so much for allowing us to take some time to refresh our cocktails and do all of that good stuff, and come back to you with our amazing guest for the evening. Joining us now, of course, is Timothy McLemore. He's the author of Love is Not Abuse. He is also the founder of the Essential Haus, a nonprofit organization in Miami, Florida, that provides a safe place for individuals in the LGBTQ plus community who have been affected by domestic violence and homelessness. We're going to have a very in-depth conversation about so many different things that affect people that often are forgotten in our community. And I'm excited to have Mr. Timothy join us today. Timothy, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dive deep with you guys.
So, Timothy, before we get started, let us introduce ourselves so that you know who you're speaking with. I'm going to let you introduce yourself over here.
Hey, I'm Nick, or as they call me on the show, Trish.
We call her Trish.
And Jay Bear,
This is Jay.
a.k.a. your boyfriend's boyfriend.
Yeah. We still haven't met that boyfriend's boyfriend. So, and I'm Tom.
Hi, Tom.
And thank you so much for joining us. By the way, just to put you on the spot, our listeners can't see you, but we can. Obviously, this affords us a more organic conversation. But you came on the screen, I was like, "Oh my God, he's hot."
Well, we all were.
Thank you. I was looking at Jay Bear. I was like, ooh.
Oh!
Okay.
She's nasty.
Somebody's moving to Miami.
I have some credits. No, stop.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. So, Timothy, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive in and talk about this plethora of different experiences that, one, you have documented, and two, you're working very hard at. And then we'll move into the conversation.
Yeah, my name is Tim McLemore. I'm an author and founder of Essential Haus. My goal is to create a roadmap of hope for victims of domestic violence or intimate partner violence. I feel like it's something that's taboo, rarely spoken about. It's almost sacred within the gay and the queer community. But it happens. The statistics certainly show it occurs actually more frequently in LGBTQ relationships than in heterosexual relationships. It's just that it's very underreported. So I just want to bring awareness and educate people through my story and my experience. How to get out.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that there is more abuse in the LGBTQ plus community than in the heterosexual community, percentage-wise?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I wish I was an expert. I guess I'm just an expert of experience. But when it comes down to the logistics, I don't know. In my experience, I just felt that, we're dealing with two men, and typically when two men have an issue, they hash it out. Or some people are just very impulsive or naturally aggressive. So there's no real physical description of an abuser.
Right.
I'll add that as well.
So you clearly had a physically abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And at what point, what was your breaking point, and then what led you down this path? Like, how did you decide, I want to help people?
Yeah, for me, I think, so I dealt with the abuse time and time again through the years. And, even when he went to jail and when he came out of jail and the judge ordered him not to be around me, he wasn't allowed to be around me. He was still around me and he still was being violent. And, I never told or anything like that. But what clicked for me was when it was near lethal. When I felt like, hey, I might lose my life, it kind of just snapped. We were driving on the freeway, and I was maybe going 70 miles per hour. We're in Miami, so I'm kind of going a little,
95.
And he's like yelling in my ear. And that's the crazy part. Sometimes you don't even remember what you were arguing about, but you remember the aftermath, the damage,
Right.
So I can't tell you exactly what we were arguing about, but we were arguing about something. He was in my ear, and he grabbed the steering wheel.
Oh my God.
While I was driving, and he struck me in my face as well. And I kind of almost hit this car that was on my right. It was a gold car, I almost hit it, and my adrenaline's going, and I pulled over to the side of the freeway, and I get out and I say, I can't do this. I was freaking out. I'm like, I can't drive with you anymore. You're gonna have to order an Uber. I can't drive with you in the car.
Right.
Because I just, that feeling of unpredictability with him, especially if I get back in his car, this argument's heated as hell. I don't want to lose my life. That was scary for me. Anywho, it escalated to where he was grabbing me by my arms and basically trying to push me off of this freeway, off of the side of it. And this isn't the regular type of, I'm from Ohio, so I'm used to those flat freeways. This is one of these Miami freeways where it's, in the air.
Right.
And while he's kind of pushing me over the ledge of this, I'm looking back and I just kind of shouted. I'm like, yo, are you trying to kill me? And I was just, screaming, crying. And he kind of let back and he said, no, I'm not trying to kill you. I love you. Yada, yada, yada. And in my mind, it just hit me. I said, yo, I'm gonna lose my life dealing with this guy. I have to let go. And it was so coincidental that his brother just so happened to be driving on this freeway. Mind you, they live in Fort Lauderdale, so it was just so coincidental that his younger brother was driving by on this freeway, saw us, stopped, got out, and he told me, said, hey, Tim, just go. I'll handle my brother. So I do. I drive home. I leave them there, and come to find out his own brother left him there on the side of the road, too. His brother didn't even take him. Take him home. So that was my wake up point when I felt like I was gonna lose my life.
So I was going to ask you. The title of your book is "Love Is Not Abuse," right? Clearly, what I got from the title was you're letting people know that abuse is not to be tolerated, and you can't substitute or feel that, in a sense, you're staying with someone because you love them, but love is not abuse. It shouldn't have to be, right? And clearly you wrote this book based on your experiences. And how do you feel that, when someone reads this book and reads about your experiences, and before you answer that, I 100% sympathize with you. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And I feel that everyone who's ever been a victim of domestic violence should hear those words and know that there is help and support,
Yes.
You wrote this book, and clearly based on this is a very terrifying experience. You saw your life. You're in a moving car going over 70 miles an hour, where one wrong move can not only end your life and the life of the person who's perpetrating this act of violence against you, but other riders who are around you. So you write this book. What do you want people to take away from this book?
Yeah, I want to create a roadmap of hope. In the first chapter, it's kind of like a diary based where I wrote these little journal entries, and I say that they're for him, but they're actually for me. And, I kind of take you through my journey of separating with this person. I talk about, how I smell this cologne, and I smashed the bottle of cologne in the wall. I take you through the journey of leaving somebody that you love, and just how painful it is. And I also feel like it brings a relatability even to the heterosexual community, because it kind of shows them like, hey, we go through these things too as gay people, and or as queer people, in the LGBTQ community. We go through these things as well, and we need resources as well. Because when I was going through this, there wasn't really anywhere for me to go to, especially here in South Florida. I remember the police coming down, one time we had a physical altercation, and the police came and they told me, hey, if he has a toothbrush in your house for more than 2 weeks, legally he lives there. Legally he stays there. There's nothing you can do. So I very much felt trapped with this person. I mean, he
Right.
always reminded me he wasn't going anywhere. You hear something over and over again, you start to believe it.
Right.
So I thought I was with this guy forever. And there was definitely no shelter for me to run to. So
How did you move past it? How did you actually find, how did you protect yourself? I mean, because when we look at, abusive relationships, our decision to leave is one thing, but getting them, even if you have a restraining order, getting them to leave you alone is a completely different other thing.
yeah. So I protected myself because I completely changed my environment. I moved to a new building. Thankfully, a secure building. You can't just get in here. There's security, but everyone, of course, can't do that. I went through with the courts. Even though I wasn't the one that pressed charges, the state of Florida, they pressed their own charges. I actually was denying it, that he was abusing me still. So I am a little thankful for that, for them pushing their own foot forward on that. Man, I don't know. I can't say how I protect. I mean, I've had to defend myself, but there's no way that, he still has come knocking on my door before. He checks my social media all the time. Sometimes he'll text me or call me from a blocked number. I don't hate him, I do, I still have love for him. It sounds crazy, but yeah, I don't know how one can protect themselves. Yeah. I want to create a place of protection, a safe space where you can be in Kentucky, and I want to be able to fly you down here to Miami. You come stay at Essential Haus. We'll provide you with educational resources, job placement, professional counseling, whatever you need to start anew, because leaving these relationships are tough.
It's not hard. Excuse me. It is very hard.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I completely understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people don't realize, and even in heterosexual relationships, the level of domestic violence. I'll tell you, my mother was abused by my biological father for many years.
Yeah.
I mean, when I tell you abused, I mean, I can tell you stories that would probably make your jaw drop. And I can't tell you how many times we stayed at shelters, how many times we got on a plane and left the country and went to Puerto Rico, and, he would follow and they would get back together. And I'm talking decades of abuse.
Yeah.
That not only leaves a mark, a horrible mark on the person who's being abused, but everyone else who is around you that has to watch you go through this, right?
Yeah.
Your family, your friends who are trying to find a way to get it in your mind. Listen, you have to leave. And when you get a restraining order, what are you supposed to do if the person comes around you? You call the cops. Sometimes they don't even come. And, you got a piece of paper. What do you do? Hit them with it?
Yeah.
Right.
What exactly? You really have to. I mean, I tell you, when my mother finally took a stand, she finally struck this man for the first time ever, after being physically abused for decades. And that was the end of it. She decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. And we picked up whatever we can pack in one bag and left and started anew for like the 15th time. And
she committed to it that time.
Yeah, she did. And and so I see your face when you're describing these incidences and you're saying, oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't leave this person. It is really true. A lot of people think, oh no, you can just seriously just walk out. It's like, but
no,
where do you go?
I love that you share that story, because it really does show that before you actually leave, sometimes you leave 10 times. I'm quoting that 10 times
over and over again.
But sometimes you leave 10 times before maybe your 11th time, that you actually commit to it. So I just want to say kudos to your mom. She is strong. I don't know her, but I fucking love her, and she's inspiring me. She inspires me every day.
And when I hear you talk about it, right? And I never actually thought, myself being a gay man, identifying as a cisgender gay man, of domestic abuse as something that I would ever be confronted with. But there isn't only physical domestic abuse. There is a mental, there's so many components. When you think about someone who wants to be abusive, there is a lot of layers to that. And there's a lot of different ways that someone can abuse you without you even realizing it that really cause a lot of trauma. For example, you were describing, okay, I moved into the secure building. I still have love for this person. This person, stalks my social media. It is always in the back of your head that this individual still has some sort of control on how that makes you feel.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure he'll probably even listen. He'll probably be listening to this if I'm honest. And how do I deal with it? I'm gonna be honest. We spoke this was maybe a month and a half ago, and he told me he thought we were gonna get back together, and it wasn't that. We just wanted to have some closure on some things. And once I kind of put my foot down and said, "Hey, I don't want to be with you. I can't take you where I'm going," he just kind of snapped, and he was his true colors showed again.
Right.
And he said, "You think what you're doing with this book and this nonprofit is something? You're not doing shit." He's like,
Oh my God, I wish I was there. I want to hold you so bad right now.
I do.
I'm going to start right too.
Come on, Trish. We know how it is. We understand.
I completely sympathize with you. Because I've heard that before,
And let me also say it's not shit.
It's not.
No, I know. It hurts because it was, this all kind of started because of him, and he kind of convinced me at the beginning that he changed. He was seeming supportive. He's like, "I'm happy with what you're doing." And then when it wasn't something going the way he wanted his way, instantly just shit on me, and I hung up the phone, but I called him back a couple days and I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to tell you this, but what you said to me has really gotten to me. And it made me feel so uninspired. It made me feel unmotivated."
And you do realize that was a plan, right?
I just wanted him to know.
He still has control.
He still has
control.
Power.
Right.
He still has control. He's only still has it because you're still allowing him to have it. And you have to realize, you know what? He ain't shit. He ain't shit. You had feelings for him. Those feelings are no longer there. And you have to realize that what you're doing is for you. And his opinion, you can wipe your ass with it. To be honest. I mean, you have to be realistic. It's difficult. It's difficult. And a lot of times as a man, you realize I really can't go to the cops with this. They're going to think, I can't report this because I'm a gay man, and they're going to look at it, why can't you defend yourself? It's two men. It's always about how much power he has over you. And as long as you allow him to communicate with you, as long as you allow him to have these effects on you, even with all this great shit you're doing, he still has some control over you. So at some point you have to turn around and say, "Fuck you. Fuck your opinion. This is me." And you have no control over that. And once you are ready to do that in your heart and in your mind, you will see a huge difference in what you're doing. And what you're doing now will be a lot bigger, way bigger than what he is.
I think,
and it'll just be a small subject. He will be a small subject of a big, big change in your life.
And hopefully the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
And everything I'm doing, my book and my nonprofit, it's been therapeutic for me. This has all been part of my healing and my processing because I really don't want anyone else to go through this. And women, lesbians, trans that are in domestic violent relationships, they just don't speak on it.
I think it's hard too, and I don't know if your book speaks to this at all because I haven't had a chance to review the whole thing, but the reality is when you're in an abusive relationship, and Jay, I can't speak for you, but I'm pretty sure I can speak for both of us that we've had experiences. They get into your head in a way that you start to question, is it me?
Right.
Yes.
Is it me? Am I causing this? Am I the actual issue?
Yeah.
And hearing, being able to hear somebody's narrative or the way you have formatted your book with these like journal entries, might actually hopefully save someone's, mental ability to realize, no, it's not me.
Yeah. And I really hope so. Even if I change one person, I know it's so cliche, but I just want to help. I feel like this is my destiny. This is my goal. I was a teacher for 2 years, and then I started being an influencer full time. And now I want to move on to another, career path. I want to make a change, and I want to leave something behind. I've been speaking with a lady in Texas. She saw me on the news. And she reached out to me. She's a psychiatrist, 68 years old, cisgender Jewish woman. One of her favorite populations to study is the queer community. Anywho, now, we're in the works now of opening a location where she is in Texas. And we want to call it, Mazel Haus. We kind of want to have all these houses around that, people can run to or go to within the queer community, even if you're, Jewish and queer. We just want to have some safe houses, in different locations. So it's just been great, honestly, the outreach, the networking, and yeah.
I want to tell you that vulnerability is truth, and there's power.
Yeah.
There's power in that. And your vulnerability, the way you've just allowed us to share in your pain, is real. It is something that I can relate to, and it is something that anyone who seeks help with your services from anyone can relate to. And don't be afraid to express that to the people that reach out to you. It is important that they see that. It is important that they see that even though you're doing great things, you have to go through the process of being vulnerable and allowing people to feel your story. Mm-hmm. I mean, your tears, our listeners can't see you, but I felt that. I felt it. It's powerful. It is important. And it is a critical part of the kind of work that you are doing with your foundation, with your book. And people will relate to it more. Don't be afraid to express your vulnerability. Yeah. It is important because it is transcending.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I really will take that advice. I have a big meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to use that. I really am. If it comes to me and I got to let it out in front of them, I am. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But typically I do kind of hold it in because I want to remain stoic.
Right.
I don't want to look weak, but in reality, I'm this is my therapy,
Yep.
So.
I mean, if it's a funders meeting, showing a little emotion will get you that much further. Tell me, I work in fundraising, so.
I will tell you. So, we talk about your book, first and foremost, before we move on, because I really want to talk about, your Essential Haus. I think that's a critical service that you're providing to people in your community and possibly expanding.
Especially with the LGBTQ plus youth community, or in the community as a whole. Our community can find itself at a higher risk of putting themselves in situations where they're in a relationship like this because they have nowhere to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And how you then identify, okay, I'm in this situation. How do I find my road to hope and find my way to your house?
Yeah, definitely. Um, how you can find, like, you want to know? Well, we have a number. You can look us up on SS. We also have a Facebook group with victims. It's like a virtual house where we share resources and stories. And you can look that up at LGBTQ domestic violence help. Yeah.
Amazing. So you wrote your book. Obviously, it is going to really help a lot of people.
I want to hug you.
I want to hug everyone right now. I just think this is such
I'm
an
the
important
crier.
conversation.
He
You
never
know,
cries.
you don't understand. I am 43 years old right now, about to be
Really?
44 in another 6 months. And you don't understand the trauma, and you do, but many people don't understand the trauma and the anxiety and the stress that you carry every day of your life, knowing that your aggressor, the person who put you in that state, breathes every day. Mine, fortunately for me, is 7 feet in the ground right now, but that's not the case for everyone. And so it is important to have resources, to be able to look at, you know, a tangible piece of information and say, oh my God, this could be my lifeline. Right. Yeah. So you wrote your book. I will pray and hope that it is successful and that it helps as many people as it can. But I want to talk about your Essential Haus. So tell me exactly what this service does, what this nonprofit that you created does. Are you providing a space where someone can remove themselves from the situation where they're not safe and they have a safe space to go? And how is that all funded?
Okay, so we're currently in our funding phase. Right now we only have a virtual house, like I mentioned, the Facebook group. We're in the works of getting a physical house.
Okay.
If I don't have it by Christmas, you'll see me on the news saying, all we want for Christmas is a house. But the goal is to have a home which has multiple bedrooms for victims to come in and start their life anew. We'll provide them with resources, whether that's housing, job placement, professional counseling, educational resources. We just want them to come down here and provide them with the essentials to get out of this relationship and commit to it, you know? Like we were talking about with your mother, and you know, she committed that energy. That's what we want. We really want to help people. And sometimes you need a change of environment. These people could be in Louisiana or a small town in Kentucky. We want to be able to fly you down, come stay at our safe house, and let's, you know, get you the resources that you need, get you back on track. So
now I want to be able to get some clarity, because clearly, you know, with a lot of nonprofits, there are certain things that, you know, you can and cannot do. Like, for example, you might find yourself dealing with someone who is on the cusp of that legal age, right? 17, 18, who they're in an abusive relationship. Does your house afford an opportunity for someone who might be a minor, for example?
Unfortunately, no.
Right.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, maybe in the future we could expand there, but the way that I have everything set up legally, it's no minors, 18 and up. It's still youth, you know.
Right.
But it also doesn't matter your age either, to be honest. You know, you could be 45 years old and married, you know.
Right.
I want to be able to help you. You need to get away from your abuser. You need to get up and out, you know, even if it's working with local authorities, because I also want to educate them on how to navigate queer, intimate, domestic violent relationships. Because you know, I think they were called 14 times. I've called, you know, through the years. And it was the time the neighbors called that he gets arrested, you know. So I think, you know, they need some more education on that as well, at least here in Florida.
I want our listeners, and if you ever get a chance, please look up, oh God, I'm completely blanking.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going.
I'm gonna tell you in a minute.
She'll get it back.
Um,
But just as an FYI, because I did work with youth groups in the New Haven Gay Lesbian Community Center. We did provide counseling.
Okay.
So, underage, technically under 18, you can still probably have counselors on hand. You can't legally take them in, but you can possibly provide some counseling just to guide these kids in the right direction.
For that.
Just an FYI, just make a side note,
I will. I will.
Even just providing safe space. If they need to go somewhere after school just to spend a couple of hours, a community room, a safe space for them to go and congregate, something that's also available, something to consider.
I knew I liked you, Jay Bear. I knew it. I knew that.
So what I wanted to mention before is, like, if you've never have heard of Tracy Thurman, look her up.
Okay, Tracy Thurman.
She was an individual who lived in Torrington, Connecticut, who had a very abusive husband. She filed so many complaints from the Torrington Police Department against her husband, and they all went, nothing. Nothing ever happened. The reason why we have restraining orders as a very serious thing, or at least they try to consider them a serious thing, is because of the experience of this woman with her husband. He stabbed her over 50 times, slit her throat, beat her senseless in front of a police officer in Torrington, and her sister-in-law and her brother. And all they could do was take the knife away from him and put it in the trunk of the police officer's car, and literally let him continue to beat her because the cop didn't know how to restrain this man. And she won a lawsuit against the city of Torrington and the state of Connecticut. And her experience and what she went through with her domestic partner had a lot of changes, had a lot of implications on the way we see restraining orders and things like that. And I remember watching this movie. They made this into a Lifetime movie. And I remember watching this and thinking, my God, this could be my mother if we're not careful.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so when we think about, for example, Essential Haus and what you're trying to build and what you're trying to create, these are things that we didn't have back then, right? When you think about when this case was decided, I mean, this was going back 1985, right? And the services that you're looking to provide are going to make significant changes. So my question to you is, once you're up and running, how can we help? How can we as a community engage you as an organization and provide assistance, whether that's through donations? How can we help?
Yes, at this current stage, we need help with donations. We need to be able to get this physical house. That's the main goal. And from there, we're going to be working with other people. I have a friend of mine who owns a yoga studio, so she's going to, provide yoga classes. They can come to the studio. I have Shelly from Texas. She, does psychotherapy. So I'm building my network of individuals to help. And even with Jay Bear's idea, I just feel like I'm so open to anything. Right. Even if you can't donate, you have an idea for me. If you can share, anything helps right now. Just awareness is key.
Well, I can tell you that what the work that you're doing greatly aligns with, most often, with the work that a lot of LGBTQ plus, centers are doing. Pride centers, they're providing some of, the case management. They can provide anything from, suggestions on who you can go as far as to seek therapy, to seek assistance, and have different programs that may be even available. Sadly, in your state, it's kind of hard to think that, where you can't say gay, that funding would be available at a state level, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm really curious. I wanna be able to advocate on your behalf and try to get
Thank
you
you.
the funding that you need. So do you have a website first and foremost for your nonprofit, and what is it, and how can we get there?
Yeah, so we have our Facebook and Instagram. That's where we mostly accept donations, or I think it's Gold Star. It's the nonprofit website. Anywho, yeah, so Facebook and Instagram is the main way we're accepting donations. You can also contact me personally at Essentially Tim on Instagram. Um, yeah, we're in our incubator stage. So I've got the incorporation. We're incorporated. I've got the 501c3. So I've just finished all the groundwork. So now I'm just trying to get my hands on the house, and I'll be happy. Honestly, like just talking about it, I'm grinning from ear to ear. Um,
Will the book serve as a fundraiser in any way? Is there a portion of the
yeah, so
proceeds?
20%, because I gotta pay rent.
Of course.
That's important.
Absolutely.
20% of the book sales will go towards Essential Haus. Keep your eyes out on the book. Still tweaking a couple things, but it will be out on Amazon, ebook, paperback, hardcover.
Well, you let us know when it's available, and we'll definitely push it for you. And the
Thank you.
last little gem that I'll leave you with, from my perspective, is I work in fundraising, like I said earlier. And if you need any support when it comes to grants, when it comes to corporations, you have our email, and I would be more than happy to set up a Zoom call and help you in any way I can. There's a lot of money out there right now for economic development.
Thank you. Seriously. Okay, you give me goosebumps. Thank you.
And just a piece of advice. I mean, connecting with your community, your community centers, especially the LGBT community centers. Definitely look at their events. Look at what fundraisers they're doing. That's how you want to. Those are places you definitely want to go to. Meet the people in charge. Get to know, and let them know who you are and what you're trying to do and what your goal is. That will also help you find funding, and it'll help you people to back you up. It'll help you make those connections that you need, especially in your area. So
All
just
right.
we've got quite a bit of background here on all that stuff. So
No, but
you know,
thank you guys. Like you guys are, a joy to talk and hang with, and extremely resourceful. I'm just so thankful for this evening. It's
Yeah,
made
well,
my day.
we all know Jay Bear needs to come down to Miami, but maybe we all will come down and
Maybe
visit.
you should. I will tell you this much: if our paths ever cross in person,
They will. They will. They
and
will.
I like to believe, that if you throw that out into the the world,
yeah.
into the universe, things happen. You will have one of the biggest hugs from me and my co-hosts, because it is not an easy thing to have survived what you have survived, to start trying to pick up the pieces, right,
And change the narrative.
build something amazing out of it, and take your power and
Yeah.
build something incredible from it. It's pretty tough.
I also want to touch note on you'll be surprised at the people who lose their lives in the queer community, in the gay community, to domestic violence.
Right.
These are beautiful people. I mean, handsome men. If you, and I'm gonna send you, whoever's texted me, I'm gonna text you some pictures of some of these people, and they look just like regular people. It's just so sad, and also we don't hear about them much either. I know Crime Watch Daily did a story on the gay couple,
Right.
but it's just sad. I just want to show, we're planning a walk soon. I'm waiting to get my tax exempt thing from Office Depot, but I want to raise these signs of, these victims that have, sorry, I'm getting nervous talking about it, but of these victims that have lost their lives to intimate partner violence.
Right.
these queer victims, and just show like, hey, look, these are normal people. We're regular people. We go through the same thing, and we need help too. We need resources too.
Right.
You know, in the media, we don't have much representation. At least I didn't growing up, of how a gay couple, a gay relationship is supposed to function. Typically, you see on TV, the man has the dominance, and the women are more submissive. But that doesn't really exist at least in a gay relationship.
You're right. I mean, when you think about, for example, November 25th is the International Day Against Violence Against Women, right? We don't have a day that could be celebrated or recognized on an international or even national level where we can bring awareness to domestic violence for same-sex partners or same-sex couples. And I think that's something, let's hashtag the shit out of it and start something, because you just never know. You're right. One of the most beautiful things, and your publisher sent a media kit, and one of the things that was highlighted in some of the information that we received on your behalf was that a lot of the cases of domestic violence in the LGBTQ plus community go unreported. And there are more areas of our community that are affected more often than others. I know that the trans community is one of those communities that are affected highly when it comes to violence with partners than most others in our community. But nonetheless, it's a big thing. It happens.
Yeah.
And we need to create a hashtag and pick a day and celebrate that, and commemorate the fact that this happens, and we need to find a way to help people.
I'm down. You guys have given me so much knowledge, like enlightenment. I'm just so thankful. Seriously, I have a lot to think about and a lot to try and incorporate.
Well, I hope I am rooting for you. I want you to be successful. I want this Essentials Haus to be a thing. And if this Jewish woman in Texas wants to have, I forgot what you called it. I was going to say bar mitzvah house, but I know that's not what it was.
Mazel house.
A mazel house. Then by all means, you know what? When you're in our community, it's not, domestic violence doesn't just happen in one culture.
Definitely.
It's something that just unfortunately happens everywhere. And I think we should have many different types of houses.
Yes.
Let's start a trend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Tim, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to sit with us and tell us your story. I can completely relate, and I know where you are right now, and I know where you will be. So stay strong. Stay the course, do what you're doing, keep doing it, and don't let things that once held you down and pinned you down and made you feel like you had no place to go, no place to be, nothing to live for, ever change your trajectory, because you're going to do great things.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you guys for helping, to spread my message. Like I said, this is something kind of taboo that's, rarely spoken about, and kind of kept secret. We always want to highlight the great things with the gays and the queer community. So just thank you for even taking this conversation with me.
Yeah, of course.
It's honestly an honor, because I think you're going to do great things. So let's stay in touch. When your book releases, please let us know.
Will do.
We'll put it on blast and do all that good stuff. And definitely, I'll make sure that on tonight's post, we have all the links to all of your social media pages, so that those that want to contribute and they can help, put Essentials Haus into reality, that we can do that.
And good luck on your meeting tomorrow.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm taking a lot that you guys have given, and I'm applying it tomorrow. So
there's your pep talk.
It's with the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So
that's good.
Yeah, I'm hoping they can help me. I'm just a boy with a dream.
Yeah.
I don't know the logistics and statistics, and I don't own a house. I still rent. So,
well, let me tell you one thing about if the chamber's good. I don't know that chamber very well, but when I started in fundraising, I leveraged a lot of my chamber contacts, and they literally said, "Who do you need to meet?" So know who you need to meet, and then ask.
So know who I need to meet.
Yeah, literally, it's like, oh yeah, well, I need to meet somebody from this corporation because they have a fund right now and they're giving out $100,000 for the next 3 years.
Right.
So I definitely need to find a way to meet with somebody there.
Yeah. And we have parades all over. Think about all those people that you see marching down that are branding a company. Reach out to those companies.
Okay.
You want to be in our parades? Here. This is something serious that we're dealing with in our community. How are you going to support? Throw your name. You threw your name behind the parade. Now throw your name behind something substantial. Don't be afraid to reach out to some of these large corporations. They have money up the wazoo they want to give away. They have money up the wazoo they have to give away. They budget every year for fundraising.
You're learning too much from me.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, really? They do that?
They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, we should probably wrap this up soon, but now is the time where they're planning their budgets for the next fiscal year. So now's the time to get in there and have the conversation.
All right, and I'm gonna I'm gonna text you. So
You text me. We'll make it work. But once again, Tim, is that okay if I call you Tim?
Of course.
Tim McLemore is our guest tonight. Amazing, compelling story. Thank you for sharing that with us. We'll be more than happy to invite you back whenever you want. Definitely let us know when the book comes out, and we'll make sure to plug all of this on our social medias and on our post tonight.
Thank you. I'll be sure to reshare as well. It's very powerful show today, honestly.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So we'll send the link over your way. I can text it to you if you want because I sent you a message. But thank you. Thank you once again.
All right. Sounds good. I'll save your number. Thank you guys so much. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gents, that was, of course, our guest, Tim McLemore. Wow.
Yum.
Yum. Beautiful.
He's cute.
Beautiful.
I think
beautiful
he was
young man.
like, he was feeling it.
He's feeling you. No, but honest, serious talk.
Cute.
I literally got flashbacks of shit that I've been through watching him describe and go into that sense of despair and admitting that it is not over.
Yep. That's what's tough.
We still go through this.
I didn't kind of find the place, or I didn't want to overstep and say anything. But I recall when your dad passed, right? And we were having a conversation, and I recall you distinctively saying, "I no longer have to worry about his threats towards me."
Right.
And that shit was deep.
Yeah.
And I hear him talking and how he's still having conversations with his ex-partner. And I'm like, wow, his ex-partner still has his thumb on him.
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes you have no choice but to deal with it because of the situation you're in. And it's not an easy thing to just say, well, I just don't want to talk to him and that's it.
Right.
Because there's still that for some reason you still feel obligated.
Right.
But that's just how they manipulate you.
Of course.
What I mean?
And my father was very good at that.
Yeah.
And I remember posting when my father passed away, what I wrote on my Facebook page was that the demons that tormented you in life can no longer do so in death.
Yes.
That was the only message I needed to just put out there. I didn't want to badmouth him. I didn't want to go into, all the things that he had done, because I understood in that moment, like you said, I never have to worry about this person ever again for the rest of my life. Right. And I hope that wherever he is, in whatever capacity our spirits exist in, that he finds peace.
Absolutely.
Because I know that when my mother was strong enough to put her foot down and say, this is it, and we decided to remove ourselves from that situation, we found a sense of peace in our lives. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. Wow.
That was good. That was heavy, but
Yeah.
that was good.
That was intense.
I literally almost lost it there for a
Oh,
You
second.
did. You did.
I was like, "Oh, it's coming! It's coming!"
But that's why we count on you for that.
Okay. That's why we keep you around for the dramatic
For the
effects.
dramas,
Yeah.
right?
No,
That's all I'm good for.
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
I can't. I teared up. I was like, oh, Chris, I'm not looking over that way. I was like, nope.
No, I got to try to hold it together. But
It's gonna be
sometimes you
tough
just
for
gotta
him
let
to
it go.
talk to 3 crying co-hosts. So.
Right. But it's powerful.
It
and,
is.
You know, we've
It
had
is.
many instances. You weren't a part of this, but when we had Bobby Edwards, Linda Stay. Oh my God, we were a hot mess.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember,
You,
like,
you guys has talked about it a couple times. Yeah, so.
But you know, I'm really rooting for this young man. I think he's going to do great things. All right, well, we need to move along. We need to wrap this up. So I'm going to toss it over to Trish. Trish, you're going to give us Mama Kim's minute. Do you need your love?
Oh, yeah, sure. All right, everybody, here's Mama Kim's minute. Number 1, judge was removed from the bench after allegedly spewing hate remarks.
Yes.
Number 2, the one and only, Pete Buttigieg sends heartwarming letter to gay teen activist in Florida.
Oh.
Number 3, Lakota two-spirit person killed in South Dakota.
Oh. A two-spirited person. We were just
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about this early. Oh, that's sad. All right, mister. On this day in gay history.
On this day in gay history, when September 21st, 1998, in the good old U.S. of A,
That's where we is.
NBC's TV series is the first in prime time to feature openly gay lead characters set in New York City. The show follows Will, a gay lawyer, and Grace. Yes, Will and Grace, a straight interior decorator, and then Karen, Grace's bisexual assistant, and Jack, Will's other best friend, who is also gay
And Karen
and
was-
extremely gay. Karen was my favorite.
Karen was my favorite. I'm like, oh, vodka.
I brought a
Yeah.
juice box.
I put a juice box.
No, with the Halloween episode, you remember she was
She
sitting
is
outside and
amazing,
the
yeah.
kid comes out of the elevator with the pumpkin. She's got a bottle of his
Yes,
and she just
she
starts
just
pouring
pours it in.
alcohol. Classic. I really did love Will and Grace. I love the original show, the remake, or the comeback,
I
not so
haven't
much. But
seen, so.
anyway. All right, ladies and gents, if you love the show, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By doing so, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your web browser as soon as our episodes are published. And, you know, you can listen to us. Why would you? I don't know, but you can. You can also, if you're feeling generous, support us on Patreon, which allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation, which we collect monthly and can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Yeah. Wow. What an incredible episode. So I'm going to toss it over to Jay Bear.
And next week, it's all about the dish.
Right. So lots of stories. Trish will be with us, hopefully, for the dish.
I think so.
Yeah, she thinks so.
She may or may not make it.
You never know.
You
You never
never
know
know.
these
All
days.
right, Mr. Nick.
All right, so thank you to our guest, Timothy McLemore. He, as you now know, is an LGBTQ plus relationship champion and author of Love is Not Abuse, and founder of Essential Haus, a non-for-profit providing a safe space for individuals in the LGBTQ plus community who have been affected by domestic violence and homelessness. We will have all the links on our website and post tonight if you feel like you want to contribute or support or just find out more information.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. All right. And now back to Nick. Oh, she's so excited with our weekly reminder for all of you bottoms out there who want to keep your buttholes on point. Yes, we are talking about Future Method. And now I'm going to toss it over to Trish. Or you want love, don't you? There you go.
All right, everybody. Don't forget, you can get the Future Method today. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury and or STDs. The first of its kind doctor-developed formula gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. Visit futuremethod.com to purchase your life-changing bum cleanser today.
Yes, queen. All right.
And don't forget, they also have the powdered form for
That's
travel.
right. I mean, you were supposed to pack it this next week, but That's not happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Fiona fucked up my plans. No,
Fucking Fiona.
bitch.
All right.
And I guess it's time to put a ring on it.
All single ladies. wait.
Put
It's
it-
this ring. I'm sticking out my middle finger. That's not the one. It's the ring finger. Okay, gotcha.
And as always, our show is available on our website, GayTalk20.com, under audio podcast. It is also available as a free download on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio.
Yes, Queen.
All right. You can find us on social media, Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0, Twitter at GayTalk20. You can email us at GayTalk 2.0 at GayTalk20.com. Tom, give it a try.
All right. And if you need to reach out to us, just head on over to our website, click on the Contact Us tab. There you can leave comments, suggest topics, submit a question for the cast or an individual host. You can also call us and leave us a voice message with any questions you may have. We can answer those for you on the show. The phone number is 334-GAY-TALK. And if you need all those digits, it is 334-429-8255. Don't forget that we do stream live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Ladies and gents, that is our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.